North Country guy with a New Hampshire accent, but how it is.
5:30, having arrived, call the meeting to order. Stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Franklin, would you step up to the microphone?
I was not sure if you had plans.
We have two sets.
This is for Sid Moore,
Oh, that we don't.
we have both.
Oh, we do? Okay. I wasn't sure.
And this is,
This would be Sidmore.
This is Sid Moore's, right here. I didn't realize that, I'm sorry.
I've revised this drawing for this Sweat Road after
Thank you.
the hearing for the planning board regarding the lot line adjustment. And the planning board asked that I come back to the Board of Selectmen to get some confirmation from the Board of Selectmen as to the graphics or the layout of where I have shown Sweat Road on the drawing. The drawing that you have in front of you, I show a revised date there of February 2nd this year. And if you see from New Hampshire Route 107 North Road, Sweat Road runs westerly for 50 feet wide for about 200 feet or so. And then that is from the original subdivision plan that was approved by the planning board at about 1975 or so. Then it drops to 33 feet, where I have that reduction in size. That portion of Sweat Road, all the way to the end, so to speak, is less definite. I think that's the fair thing to call it. I've shown it as 33 feet wide. I've relied greatly upon the memories of Phil and Dave Sidmore to delineate what they recall as being the main traveled way. When I was here with the selectmen June of last year, we had talked about the easement, a turnaround easement. We did go out, we marked that on the ground, we mapped it. The planning board was not, I don't know, I guess less than pleased with the result of that, because I showed the Sweat Road Class 5 portion going straight through what is shown on the plan as the stone foundation. I have nowhere to put it. I said, I don't know where it is. So having talked again with Dave and Phil Sidmore, I have shown it as it appears on this drawing. I realize that there's nobody here now that has any recollection of where the road was, if there was a layout, or anything to that nature. So I'm just trying to collect as much information as I can, put it on this drawing, and then eventually record it at the Registry of Deeds. That's my sole intent of this. At some point, when the hearing that we are before the planning board with is a lot line adjustment, so that we will expand the land that's owned by Dave Sidmore. Well, it's actually by Thelma Sidmore and the two daughters, which is lot 67. We're going to increase that so that it's bounded by the Sweat Road. So this is I'm at the mercy of the selectmen and the planning board as to how to resolve this. And this is the best thing I can come up with.
Fred?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, everything that Mr. Franklin said is absolutely correct. The issue that the planning board had was that it was shown a Class 5 is running straight through, as Jim had said, where the stone foundation is. And if it went through where the foundation is, the town wouldn't be maintaining it. So it would revert from a Class 5 to a Class 6 because the town is not maintaining it. So our position was, well, that doesn't make any sense, because we want to be able to take and show it as to whatever the town is going to be maintaining as a Class 5. And that was the reason.
I remember when we talked last, right around the L1 is where we said it would end.
Yes. That would be the turnaround easement area, the actual easement area.
And we can't do that?
Yes, you can. You certainly can.
I would think since that's where we turn around, that's the end of the Class 5 road that we maintain.
Sort of coming off L2 towards L8.
Yep.
Yeah, I would suggest that squaring off, you see the L8?
Yeah.
So that projects southwesterly, just right across.
Yep.
Right.
But and on a full-size drawing, it's much easier to show, but on this one, it's a little tough.
Or even the line that says 5684.
Yes,
If we just took that all the way across to the left, right to the corner of L1, I think that would be a perfect ending for the road as a Class 5.
that's fine.
Yes, sir.
I think extending the L8 is better, because that gives
Yeah.
you a T for turning.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Drive in and back in and turn.
So basically then, Jim, if they do that, Dave's whole driveway is in the road.
Yes.
So are we smarter to stop it pre his driveway?
Pardon?
Are we better off stopping it before his driveway? This is an easement, or is this gonna be town?
Well,
Easement is for the turnaround.
yes.
Well, yeah, but
It's-
right now, that little dotted is, the 30 years I've been going up there is kinda how that little dot is drawn on here.
Right.
Minus Dave's driveway. If you went up there now, that L4, L3, and L2 isn't there.
No, we staked them on the ground and then surveyed them. What
Right,
I
they're
did
not
is
turning around.
I used the town's standards for hammerhead design, and then staked it on the ground, then surveyed it and put it on this plan.
Right, that's future.
Pardon?
Future turnaround. They're not turning around there right
Oh,
now.
no, that's for
Lawn.
the town maintenance. Dave said they come up, and they back around, and they do this and.
Right, that's what
you
I'm
know.
saying. So this
Yeah.
is drawn the way you want it, not the way it's being used.
Correct.
Okay.
How did the town trucks turn around currently? Do they back into where the L3 is?
They push there, where the L3 is.
Yeah.
They push that way, and then they back up, like parallel with L1.
So actually, we would, I think as Jeff has said, if we extended L8 directly across, then that would
That would
cover
work perfectly.
what's actually occurring. Yeah.
I would agree. I have no problem with that whatsoever. Just so that the board is clear, at some point, the Phil Sidmore and the rest of the Sidmores intend to split off a lot around the existing farmhouse and barn. And so that's part of the reason of trying to get some clarification here. I'm looking in the future, I'm saying, if I'm a surveyor coming along 25 years from now, I'm gonna say, where is this lot line?
Yeah.
And how did it come to be?
So they're looking off of lot 68?
Eventually,
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
eventually.
So the frontage would end up being on Sweat Road?
Correct.
Yes, Sweat Road, and I've advised them that they should have at least the required frontage on North Road as well.
That makes
But
sense.
they're considering whether to have a 6-acre or 9-acre lot around the farmhouse because of the number of residential people in there, how many residences there are.
Yep.
There's 1, 2, 3, and that determines the necessary lot size by the town zoning.
Mm-hmm.
All right, is everybody happy with extending it from L8
Yeah.
straight across and calling that the end of the Class 5 road?
Yeah.
What, is that what it will be called?
What do you
It's
mean?
not that just a turnaround easement, the actual road will actually go that
We're-
far?
We're trying to determine where the Class 5 ends.
So that's different than a turnaround easement,
Well,
like it says right there. turnaround easement.
encompasses the turnaround easement.
Yes.
Turnaround easement is just there. Where do we want to end the Class 5 road and our maintenance of it? And it just seems that across here would be perfect.
No, I'm not disagreeing, I just want to make sure that if it's the only driveway to Dave's house and there's 3 cars there, if they're gonna be able to pull up and back in where else Dave can park, he's not gonna park behind the stone foundation, or he hasn't been, let's put it that way.
They park wherever they want to park, you know, and that's been one of the problems here. But right now, when Mrs. Sidmore, you know, Dave's not there anymore. Mrs. Sidmore, she comes in and passes, comes up the gravel driveway, passes over L3, and parks right up there next to the house.
Right.
Yep.
So that isn't gonna be a problem down the road as far as our town trucks going up to turn around with cars parked?
No,
There's enough
I don't
room.
think so. I have advised them that they should grant an easement to the town
Right.
for this purpose.
Okay, good,
Yep.
thank you.
How did we come to lay out that first section as 50 foot instead of 2 rod?
There was a subdivision plan approved by the planning board, I'm gonna say 1978, that created lot 67. The plan was never recorded at the registry. It just didn't get around to it. Nobody brought it to the registry. It was done by a licensed surveyor. It has a stamp on it, the original signatures. It just didn't get recorded. There is a plan on file now. As you see, my reference plan, note number 1 there, I did a boundary of that and put it on file with those necessary notations on there. And I have a copy of the original.
Excellent.
That was at a time when the planning board just gave this approved signed plan back to the applicant
Oh,
and left it up to them to record it.
Yeah.
And we don't do that anymore.
All right, well, does that help you?
Yes, that's fine. That's all I need with that. Yep.
Excellent.
Well, Jim, the plan you just gave us says 2 of 2, 2/2/18.
Pardon?
The plan you just gave us?
Yes?
Says revised 2/2/18, as does the one we had here. There's nothing different? Is this just bigger? It's the second page.
Yeah.
Right, but I'm saying this,
Same information.
it's the same information. it's
Looks to me like
bigger.
it's the same.
Was
It's
blown
just
up
in a
some-
bigger and darker print.
I can take a look.
Yeah, it's the same. This one's just blown up.
Oh, yeah, yeah, it's,
Okay.
yep. Yes.
I
I
just,
made it a little neater, there's a little more boldness on it.
Yeah.
It's basically the same.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Do we need any kind of motion or anything?
Make it official, I guess we could.
Make a motion that we accept the plan presented tonight by land surveyor James Franklin, revised 2/2/18 with the turnaround easements and that to be straightened out from L8 straight across.
Second?
And this would mean that at that part, the Class 5 road would end and the Class 6 road would begin.
Correct. Right.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Next
Thank you.
order of business,
Next
sir.
order of business. I think you have the plan there. I did make some changes to it, but nothing, no material changes, nothing significant. But I made it a little easier to see, and it's a little larger, I think.
Thank you.
The added color, you know, color's always good. At least I think so. Makes it things easier, they stand out.
Thanks, Jim. Wow.
Thank you, sir.
If you'd like to take a few minutes and take a look at it, or I can just start right in.
Go right ahead.
We have been conducting a topographic survey as weather permits out there. we've gotten to the point where, as what you see on here now is what we have accomplished. We've everything is a result of the survey work. We've located Route 107, every 50 feet, both edges of the road, all the utility poles, the signs, the wetland flags. And you can see some across the street, the Penguin Realty, which is Mr. Mike's. I wanted it for orientation. We've located the Freeze's Pond Road. I've shown that in brown. It perhaps could be a little darker. So these are real positions of everything. I took the New Hampshire Department of Transportation project number 50926 plan and basically traced off how it would, the geometry from that plan. It's a 66-foot wide right-of-way, 33 feet both sides of center line. So I was able, by locating the whole road in that area of the survey, every 50 feet, I could make the geometry for it. Likewise with the Freeze's Pond Road and the lots shown in the dashed red. I just took a copy from the Registry of Deeds. I made a TIFF image out of it and traced it, tried to make the geometry fit as best as I could.
That was a true Chesley, right?
Yes, yes. And on that plan, there was no bearings, no road geometry. There were dimensions of the lots. But I just said, I'm gonna trace everything and see how it fits overall. And I think that was the limits of what I was supposed to do. I was supposed to use existing information.
That was a Herculean effort, Mr.
Yeah, yeah.
Franklin,
And-
to try and incorporate that information.
Yeah, and you can see there, the road was not constructed in the right-of-way, the Freeze's Pond Road right-of-way.
Kind of goes where it wants.
Yeah, it kind of does, yeah. But if you were out there, you could see it, you can understand why, sort of. I've shown the red lines as, I'm going to say, the approximate property line. You can notice that most significantly, the Freeze's Pond Road has a center line symbol running right up the middle of this road. According to standards, if the road has not been dedicated or deeded to the town as a public road, then the property line extends to the center of the road. So that's, I felt, was important to show here because the abutters also own a portion of the right-of-way. So if you were to do anything in that right-of-way, you may need to have permission from those abutters.
Or we could lay the road.
Or we can lay the road out.
Yes, or you can lay the road out, yes. Over I don't know if you could lay it out over the way it's been constructed without an actual taking. And you'd have to pay damages, and I'm not sure that would be very, I don't know.
Thankfully, we own two of the lots that are on the other side.
Yes, yes, yeah, that'd be a nice swap, yeah, lot line adjustments, yeah. So again, I've estimated here, let's see, elevations. We found a benchmark on the left side of the sheet, just to where the intersection of Freeze's Pond Road and Route 107 come together. We found a standard disc there that was set in 1934.
Wow.
The elevations, NAD, North American Datum, 1988. So everything is based on that. We do have a closed traverse all the way around the property and inside of it. The work itself, I've considered it as 75% complete because with the amount of snowpack and ice out there at this point, I felt that it might be advantageous for planning purposes to have whomever is going to do the siting of some facility in there. Once the selectmen have agreed to where they would like to have something done, we will go out and we will finish the contract by surveying more detailed in that area.
Okay.
As you can see from the front here, the big black knob that is up to elevation 460 and it's down to 440. You know, a 20-foot rise there, and that's surrounded by wetlands. Well, wetland setback, 100-foot setback, maybe, or maybe it's only 50 or 25 because these lots were created prior to the adoption. And I said, you know, that's something for the town to consider, but I didn't want to get, I didn't want to spend a lot of time in those areas where the wetland setbacks might prohibit any construction.
Jim, that knob that sticks up there, was there any indication of ledge in that, or,
Yes.
okay, so I think somebody had previously mentioned they thought it might have been gravel, and, but I think that pretty much confirms what my thought was, it's probably ledge.
We did. We noted on numerous topographic shots a base of ledge that's exposed there. You can actually see it. And it's more so on the back side than the front. And someone has been out there doing topographic survey work. We found little bits of wetland flags. We found some stakes. We found where people were cutting lines, stuff like that. Now, I don't know, it might be left over from True Chesley, but that's 1978 or so.
Oh, yeah, no.
I don't think that would be still around.
I think it's left over from the fire chief,
Yeah,
former police chief.
Right.
Right.
And some casual advisors.
They were hoping to do a presentation with it out.
That was
Ah,
8 years ago, maybe,
Yeah.
6 years
Okay.
ago.
that would seem about right, yeah.
yeah.
Jim, what are the red lines cutting across it?
Those red lines are the lot lines from the original subdivision plan.
Okay.
So that was a 6-lot subdivision?
Oh, no, there's
No.
huge subdivision.
No, but it's inside that.
Yes, inside here, yes, 6
Inside the
lots.
Freezes Pond Roads,
Yep,
there was 6 lots.
yes,
Over what was it, like 12 acres or something?
yes, about, yep.
So what would the setbacks be from wetlands?
Maybe 100.
100. There's nothing you can do with this.
Nothing to do with that.
This, I mean, there's wet here, then that, and I don't have the scale. But then with that ledge,
The usable area, it would be
to the left.
To the
right?
left,
to the left, and then up in that corner,
the far right corner.
yeah.
And up there, I'm not so sure. That's,
See the
I think
steep-
there's more ledge up there,
Well,
but,
yeah, I
yeah,
think so.
once the ground is bare, we can get a better idea.
Right. Well, I was gonna ask, because I don't know the answer, can you do wetlands mitigation?
Well, you could end up,
I'm talking about that area A there in the back of the lot.
oh, up there,
Yeah.
and, well, we'd end up having to, you'd have to go to the state for the wetlands mitigation, and then if you wanted to get it a little closer than 100 feet, then any structures, we'd have to end up basically going to the ZBA.
Okay. Because it does look big enough on the left-hand side.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
What about parking lots, Fred, as far as 100 foot? Is it just structures?
Just
that are-
structures, yeah.
That might work.
I can add a 100-foot, 50-foot and a 100-foot setback line from these wetlands if you'd like, and I can give you another set of plans, so you have some idea. Does the town have a consultant that they're using for this?
No,
Not at this point.
no.
Okay. I didn't know. I said, well, you know, with enough people on the board, they can probably come up with their own ideas where they'd like to site things. We'll go back out and, you know, if you want, on a Saturday or something, you want to go out and mark out some areas where you'd like to put a building, then we can do more detailed topography around that.
The
You know,
100-foot
I
mark
think
would
the
be,
setback.
100-foot thing would handle a lot of questions, Jim.
Yeah.
You could do that 100-foot line, a
Yep.
green color or something.
Yep,
then
I
we
put it
could-
red, bright red, danger.
Do not cross.
Do not cross, no.
So those lines are null and void that come across there, that was from way back.
I don't know how the town took those, so I can't say for sure.
Well, don't we have it listed as an 11 or 12 acre lot?
Yeah,
don't
we have it as
listed-
one lot.
It depends on how they appeared on the tax roll and whether they were taken all at one time, or there's a number of things.
It would
but-
seem to me that we took it at one piece
Yeah,
at
the
one
whole thing.
time. Yeah, we took the whole thing.
Except for those three lots or whatever that had been
Right.
sold.
We really
I
can't do
can
all of
eliminate those lines. I'm pretty confident, quite confident, that the center line of the layout for Freeze Pond Road is going to be the boundary line.
Right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
that
that's,
makes sense. But if you could put the 100-foot setbacks in a color that we could differentiate from.
Yeah, I will.
Where's wetland, there's a wetland A, a wetland C, and a wetland C.
Yeah, A, B, and C. There is also a wetland D, which is,
Wetland D, I see
P
that.
is right down.
well, I didn't show the D separate from C.
Okay,
That
It's all
is,
connected.
it's all
Pardon?
It's
connected.
all connected.
yes, it's connected there, and it's on that, right opposite, map 209, lot 46, in between those two telephone poles, that little finger that extends up to the southwest.
Okay,
That's the little, that
I
D.
see it, yeah.
Yep. The work that would also need to be done on this is needs to be continued to be done is, what is the state's right-of-way? The drawings that I have from the state that I noted here, they show the old right-of-way and they show the new right-of-way. And there is evidence of the old right-of-way out there, so there would be some, if the state has given up their use of that, there should be a document here in the selectmen's files saying that we no longer need this and you can do what you want with it.
So the right-of-way is actually a layout, there's a layout for a right-of-way rather than by prescription? For
There's a
107?
drawing they show of 33 feet. I didn't track down a deed from it. I don't know, it's probably there, I can do that.
So the
You know,
red
it's all
line-
part of this work.
That goes along 107 is where the 33-foot line would be?
I didn't
Or-
understand.
From center.
What?
Red line.
66-foot layout, 33 feet from center line.
Yes, the red line I've shown on the subject property, that's the limits.
Thank you.
Yep.
On some DOT highways, it's by prescription, and basically, if they're using this area within this right-of-way, or this area, they consider that to be theirs,
Okay,
but there's no actual formal right-of-way as such laid out.
I can look that up between now and, when we start doing some more work out there. I didn't find any monumentation drawings, anything that says, bound set, and I didn't find anything on the plans themselves that note right-of-way taken such and such a date. So I can track that down.
okay. Well, other than having the wetlands marked with 100-foot setbacks, anything else that we could ask of Mr. Franklin?
I think there is a drain that comes from Wetland C and crosses over 107 going to the southeast,
Under 107?
under 107, basically onto the 77 North Road property.
Yes,
I think, but I don't know where the location is. I vaguely remember seeing it out there.
okay.
But obviously, that will wait until everything melts.
Yeah, and I would appreciate, when
I'll
we
be there,
get
yeah.
back into this, I would appreciate if we can finish this before the leaves come out.
Yeah.
Yes.
After the snow, before the
Would
leaves.
basically, would everyone agree that there's enough room there to do what we want to do?
So,
When I see the 100-foot mark,
Yeah, I'm just looking at the graphic scale down here, and
there's not a lot of room.
the 100-foot mark is gonna cut pretty deep.
Gonna be 2 inches of it, but
Well, there's gonna be a little building right here. You got that point, and
Okay.
you're up here.
Yeah, I
mean,
think
well-
we really need to see the 100-foot.
Can you have that for when we meet again in a couple weeks?
I can get it back to you probably by the end of tomorrow.
Because we're off 2 weeks, right?
Yep. I think that would be perfect. In the meantime, you would like to be paid 75%,
When it's convenient, yes.
$46.50.
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I think you did a good job, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
We look forward to seeing the next setup, and we can,
And if,
Deliberate
anytime you want me to
further.
come back, just try to get a hold of me and I'll come back just like this and,
Excellent.
Thank you all.
Thank you. All righty. Review of outstanding minutes for the 22nd.
Move as written.
Second.
Moved and seconded. That would be Dick and Jeff. Anyone with a comment?
Andrew and Jeff.
Andy and Jeff.
Andy and Jeff, that's right.
No comment.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And again, I have the minutes from the 29th.
So moved.
Second.
Dick and Andy. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Alrighty then. I have a accounts payable manifest in the amount of $1,089,109.18, 1 million of which is for the school.
So moved.
Second.
Who seconded it?
Fred.
Fred, Andy and Fred, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hey, fifth.
Yes.
Yeah. In my head, everything's wrong. I have a current use application and correcting a previous application due to clerical error. The registry requires forms to be printed single-sided. And this is for Janet and Andres Kowatowski. This is 119 North Road.
Motion to correct.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Application is approved.
Yeah. Unpainted.
And this application concerns 5.39 acres. I have a request to collect the land use change tax in the amount of $8,600 from Daniel Robinson, map 41622 on Nottingham Road.
Make a motion that we collect our land use tax change fee.
Second.
Just one on this?
As far as I can see. If you see one, let me
No, I
know.
didn't know. Sometimes we have two.
Sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 3. As far as I could see, it was only 1 today.
Sorry to interrupt.
I'm sorry, that's all right. We had a motion. Do we have a second?
Yes.
Jeff, okay. Discussion? All those that are in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This does have two. Another request for the land use change tax in the amount of $31. Scott and Lisa Shepherd, map 424-16. This is a lot line adjustment with Russell Perrin.
I would make a motion that we approve the lot line adjustment.
Second.
Collect the tax.
Collect the tax resulting from the adjustment, sorry.
Second.
Second from Jeff. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? From the police chief, I wish to inform you that we've concluded our hiring process, and as such, I'm recommending that we hire Todd Carr to fill the vacant full-time patrol officer slot. Mr. Carr did an excellent job throughout the process, which included a physical agility test, oral board interview, extensive background check, polygraph, psychological exam, and chief's interview. This position would bring us back up to our full complement of 8 full-time officers. Upon select board approval, his anticipated start date would be the 15th of February, and we'd be looking to get him into the next available academy class, which starts on April 30th. I have also attached a personal action form for your signature. I would entertain a motion that we agree with the chief's request, hire the gentleman, and that the chair can sign the personnel action request.
So moved, just as you spoke.
Second.
That's Dick and Fred. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Is that the pump going off over there?
I think so.
Excess,
It's a good sound.
Very well. Yeah, we're not going there. I have a notice of intent to cut Wooders timber for Robert and Jeanette Wolfgram, map 414, 106-8 off Lang Road. Notice of intent to cut Woodard timber, Roscoe Blaisdell. This is off Lang Road. And another intent to cut for David Gazzola, map 414-70 on Range Road.
I didn't see it.
Okay, I have a request from the Highway Department. We're proposing to replace the 18-year-old water treatment system located at the Deerfield Highway Shed with a new 2 cubic foot neutralizing filter and a new 2 cubic foot conditioner with Wi-Fi capability with resin cleaner drip feed. We will also replumb through the systems with PVC pipe. A final installed cost of $5,985. I've been led to believe that this problem has occurred because they're washing the equipment and running a whole lot of water through the system. I'd like to investigate bypassing the system with the water that they're using for the trucks and shoring up some of the plumbing down there before we put $6,000 into a water system down there.
Yeah, the only thing I would mention is I believe that the untreated water actually leaves a film on the equipment and the vehicles, which is why they're using the treated water. I don't know if we wanna look into it further, but I believe it leaves a fairly visible patina, for lack of a better term, on whatever they hit with the water.
Is that something they got a bid on? Will that go out to bid?
We would need quotes.
This quote was it started at 6285, but a town of Deerfield multi-system discount of $350 brings it down to $59.85.
Well, with $5,000, we should have at least 3 quotes anyway, shouldn't we?
Right, they should ask
Better.
McBride at the Epsom Circle.
Right.
He does a lot in Deerfield.
This was just the first one that came in to bring it to your attention, but before we move forward, I would probably get at least 2 more
Let's
quotes.
do that.
Yep.
Do we have an analysis on the water too?
Not over there.
No.
Whether they did one independently, the only building that's tested is George B. White because of the
Yeah.
inhabitants.
Being a water source.
Right.
The water from the highway shed, when it's been tested in the past, has never been good at that.
Yeah, and just wanted to see what the analysis in the water was, and it's somewhat hazy as to what conditioning unit, the intent of that unit is. I don't know whether it's
So if we
for iron
test the
removal
water
or-
to get a better idea of what kind of system would work best.
Yeah. And I would imagine anybody who's gonna be bidding on this would need to have an analysis on it, so they could put together a bid that would, would correct the problem.
And maybe we could get away with a filter for water used to wash equipment instead of a
The system.
complete system.
I'll get an analysis of the water.
It's got chunks of manganese in it. Must have Deerfield.
If you want, I can pick up sample bottles at the state tomorrow,
Okay.
Great.
and
We're on.
then I'll drop, then I can, once you grab the sample, I can then drop it off.
So perhaps, once we have a sample and talk to some experts in the field, perhaps we can come up with a way that we can have a water system for drinking and maybe a filter or something for
Mm-hmm.
washing the vehicles.
Right.
Sounds like an idea. All right, anybody remember 2 years ago, Dave Whatmo and another fellow donated labor and doors to fix the 2 doors at the town hall in the back?
The rear exit doors.
Put locks on
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
They were never finished. The 2 doors together that were emergency exits from the 2nd floor were so tight that they basically had to be manhandled open. The push bar that had been bought for it was in a box in the back room behind the stage, and it was only for 1 door. We had 2 doors. It wasn't the correct one. Ray had to bring his planer and his joiner over to fix the doors so that they would actually open, including the 1 door that when you were looking at the stage on the 1st floor, you go out that door, the emergency exit, you again also had to pretty much run into it to get it to open. So Ray fixed both doors, but since the push bar for the 2 doors was wrong, it will work on the other single door, which has the old push bar, about 50 years old on it. So we got a quote from All Safe and Lock of $2,432 to put the correct push bar on the double doors from the 2nd floor, and to use the push bar that we have already had that wasn't installed and install it on the 1st floor exit.
Yeah, I'm in agreement that we should move forward with this, and I'd like to note too that I think the folks that put the doors together did a fine job, and it was more than likely the installation follow-through on the part of town folks that led to this situation.
Oh, yeah.
All I can say is, thank God that we didn't have any fire in that building, and,
Right.
People couldn't bulldoze their way out.
yeah.
So is everybody okay with going ahead with the repair on it? I think it's something we need to do.
Yeah, I think absolutely.
All right. Got the, can you tell me what we got that check for?
That's the standard power agreement, the quarterly payment.
Very well. We got a $796.56 check from the Standard Power of America. Also, DRA has sent us a, what do they call this again? Equalizing the local assessed valuation of municipalities and unincorporated places throughout the state. Based on the enclosed survey, we have determined a median ratio for the land, buildings, and manufactured housing in your municipality for tax year 2017 to be 88.1%. And we've also determined the overall equalization assessment sales ratio for the land, buildings, and manufactured housing in your municipality for tax year 2017 to be 87.4%. We get that every year. We're a little far away from 100%, but I guess the land values are just jumping. When do we do for a reevaluation again? How many?
Few percentages
We do a
each year.
quarter every
Yeah,
year.
Right. So the full is two or 3 years away, I think. I think we did one in 2015.
I don't recollect. I have it all stacked
Yeah.
neatly in my budget folder, so I can
Right.
answer that question, but I don't have my
Okay.
budget folder.
Just thought everybody would like to know. Town Administrator's Report.
I have two items for you this evening. One, just to update you, we had another flooding issue today in this room. We came into it this morning. Neither Ray or I thought that the light rain we were getting over the weekend was going to cause any problem. There was no snow on the roof, which we believe caused the first time. But it's unlikely that it was the snow and rain combination, given that it was light rain that caused it to flood again. So we consulted with the highway agent, and at this time, we feel as though the drain work that was done a number of years ago when the parking lot was dug up and there was, for lack of a better term, French drain was put in, and then the pipe brought all the way down the back of the side of the building, is likely frozen because he doesn't believe that it was put below the frost line. So there's really no way to fix that at this time. But come spring, when the ground thaws, we need to look and do further investigation, which will likely result in some groundwork and excavation to correct this problem once and for all. In the meantime, we're using the purchase sump pump, which you all have been listening to throughout the meeting. And I've instructed Ray to just leave that on to be functioning as a backup for the rest of the winter season until we have the thaw.
Yeah, I was gonna mention on a completely non-technical basis, after the first flooding, I had a recollection that Mark had kept a black chunk of hose, running out the front of the building for the past 2 years, burping out water most of the winter and into the
Right.
Yeah.
spring, so.
It was a consensus by the road agent, and his recollection, Paul Kimball was the one that did the excavating work, that it wasn't deep enough and that it's likely frozen, and/or maybe from the weight of some of the trucks going over, it might even be collapsed.
Yeah.
So there's a combination, it's not correct. And so we need to look at that in the spring to make sure that this doesn't keep happening.
did they estimate how deep it was? No.
Didn't recall.
Perhaps we can get someone who does the camera examination of it when it hopefully thaws out to see whether or not it's been damaged or something along those lines. 'cause-
Right. But there's not much we can do now with the
Nothing
ground
we can do
frozen,
now.
so.
I think if the concern is that it's not below the frost line, I think the best thing to do is going to be to drop it
Yeah.
and and probably really don't need to do the camera because if
Okay.
we're gonna
I was
replace
gonna suggest
it.
that, but I thought
Yeah,
try and figure
Yeah,
it out
if-
first, but it would make more sense to me also to go down, cut it out, and put it 2 or 3 feet deeper.
deeper, yeah.
Okay. And in working with the police chief, the park and ride that the town operates across the street is town property, and there is a sign out there that indicates it's for park and ride, but there's been several instances where we've had vehicles and/or trailers over there for a substantial amount of time, some of them registered, some not, unidentifiable.
I noticed one of them moved from a neighboring town to our lot after they were
Right.
evicted from the neighboring
Get
town.
worse with posted roads coming.
So the police chief approached me to see if we could better sign that property. I've given you a draft in your folders of some proposed language for a sign, which will be placed right below the existing sign, but it gives people clearer information as to what that space is used for, and also properly warns them that it is for daily use, and if you are planning to park an unregistered vehicle and leave it there for any length of time, it will be towed at your expense.
Yep.
And I just wanted to bring this to the board's attention, and if you approve, I can move forward and have that sign made and installed.
Anybody have a problem with that?
Sounds like a good idea.
That's it for me tonight.
Have we received any reply from the letter we sent to the gentleman in charge of fire wardens?
We have not.
When did we send that out?
I'm going to say at least a month ago.
Perhaps a follow-up
Follow-up letter? Yeah.
Anyone else with questions for the town administrator? Yes, sir.
While we were on the signs, any update on red versus green?
I did check with the building code enforcement officer. He showed me recent plans. He showed me the plan of Major John Simpson Way. It's his feeling that what is occurring is that as these plans are being brought to the planning board, they're coming in fully labeled with road names along with the entire plan. And once the planning board is approving them by signing off on the
Going
plans,
forth.
they're running with that and looking at the entire plan, including the road names being approved.
We need to get a letter to the.
We're still supposed to be sending those names to the Board of Selectmen, so I'll have to talk to our next meeting, I'll talk to them. And my thought was that we're gonna send a letter to the developer on the Major John Simpson Way, telling him that the name of the road doesn't comply with the Board of Selectmen's standard policy and as well as the color of the sign, and that they're going to have to take and redo that sign. And following, after they meet with or submit the proposed name to the Board of Selectmen.
Where is this development?
Under the power lines.
Street.
Yeah.
Just past the church.
Ah, yes, okay.
But there's more than that one, that Andy knew of a couple of.
Yeah, there's a couple others. There's Lois Lane
Mhm.
up off of Ridge Road, and I don't, we've got Forest Glen, which I don't know whether that's private road or whether it's gonna be like Hartford Brook that we're gonna take over, or,
Yeah, we'll have to
All right.
do that too.
Can we put a process in to look back at these people and go ahead?
yeah, I think that, the planning board certainly can make that part of the planning process, but it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to have the code enforcement officer who's out there looking at this stuff ahead of time to advise people that, they need to get road names approved by the Board of Selectmen.
Good idea. Yes, sir.
While we're on signs, Parks and Rec had talked about doing signage for out on the plywood board.
Good idea.
They're working on that now. I've asked them to draft up all of the proposed signs, what they're going to look like, what kind of wording, and they're still working on those now.
So it's in Nick's court.
Yes, it is. So just to clarify on the street naming, do you want a policy or a procedure developed Or,
We have one,
We have one, I believe,
Yeah,
it's supposed to
we
come to
have
the
one,
Board
yeah.
of Selectmen for
just
approval.
hasn't been
every day.
enforced.
Yeah.
check with the building code officer?
Yeah, and Fred's gonna,
And I'll mention it to the planning board.
The building code enforcement officer was in on the original 911
That's right.
specs when we went with what type of road names we were gonna use and what color signs we were gonna use. It wasn't just will of the select board, it was in conjunction with the 911 address and emergency services plan.
Anyone else for the town administrator?
thanks,
John,
John.
John, were you going to talk about our Epsom meeting today?
I was gonna defer to you.
Okay, under new business?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, I was gonna go under unfinished business and ask us to change the default budget number.
Yeah, I would make a motion that we drop our current default budget from $3,947,590 to $3,910,923.38. The changes to the budget being in the town administration full-time employee line, a reduction. The town administration contract line, an increase. The town administration mileage line, an increase. The FICA line, a reduction. And the Medi line, a reduction, as well as a reduction in the transfer station heavy equipment line, which I don't know the total reduction, roughly $44,000, $45,000.
46 something.
But I think that's what we told the deliberative session we'd do, and it makes good sense accounting-wise.
Can I get a second on that motion?
Second.
Fred? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So the default budget is now $3,910,923.38.
Yep.
Excellent. Anyone with unfinished business or new business? Fred?
We had a meeting with the Epsom Town Administrator and one of the members of the Board of Selectmen to talk about the town boundary on Griffin Road. And apparently, David Noyce, who's a surveyor who lives in Epsom and who's also, I guess, very interested in town boundary, discovered the fact that the town boundary on Griffin Road has been moved 26.32 feet into Deerfield. So as it currently stands, and incorrectly, there's Epsom has claim to 26 feet of a strip of land, 26 feet wide in Deerfield. And that boundary should end up being moved, or a new boundary being set in the proper location and 26.3 feet to the north of where it currently is right now. Apparently, it's a stone that's there and marked with a D and an E, I guess. But obviously, it's been moved by somebody.
Seem to recall something.
Yeah, this first came to light a few years ago when I think Deerfield first went to Cartographic with the online tax map setup that we have, and Epsom followed suit fairly shortly thereafter, and Cartographic actually called attention to it and said we have a fairly significant overlap on your town line, and if you log into Deerfield and then log into Epsom on CAI, you can see it pretty clearly, and in fact, it affects town, the lowest, is it it's not Flanders, property that was donated to the town 4 or 5 years ago. It runs into the town-owned lot, I think. And it's pretty significant. That's a fairly long
Yeah, right,
strip. 26.3 doesn't sound like much until you take it a half mile.
right.
So is there a remedy?
Yeah, we had talked about setting a granite bound at the new point, at the correct point, and splitting the cost of the bound between Epsom and Deerfield. And having David Noyes set that bound with the help of the Epsom road agent, who would drill a hole, which is a heck of a lot easier than digging it. And we had talked about getting a 6-foot bound, granite bound to place there, with a portion of it sticking above the ground to locate, to identify that it is a town marker.
Any idea on the cost?
Not at this point.
We need to do it.
It needs to be done, yeah.
Be done, we gotta have it right.
The existing one is pretty at least if it's the one down by Swamp Road, it's pretty insignificant.
No, this is right on Griffin Road.
Oh, up higher on Griffin.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm
All right.
thinking of,
Here's the,
did they talk at all about the differentiation from Swamp
That's-
Road running up?
they had suggested at another meeting to talk about that.
Because that's actually my comment. My comments were in regard
On that
to
one?
the, coming up from Swamp Road, because there's a significant, sort of a long pie-shaped differentiation there
Mhm.
too. That,
Right. You know, they did, the town administrator did have that, Epsom town administrator did have
I
that.
have some recollection of Fran Menard spent some time studying the Griffin Road one, and that actually, I think the movement came about when Merrimack and Rockingham County changed their lot line
Mm-hmm.
at some point,
Hmm.
and that apparently led to the original confusion as to that marker.
Interesting.
All right.
So they're gonna get back to us with a cost on that. And
Get that going. Anyone have any other business? Yes, Jeff?
Just wanted to remind people, the Winter Carnival is February 17th. I think it's like 10 to 6 with all sorts of activities. Chili
Where?
cook-off, town hall, gazebo.
Anyone else? Did the new police officer, other business? We don't need a non-public. Everybody got anything left?
good.
Citizens comment? You, yes?
Yeah. While we're doing work at the town hall, I went to use the small bathroom.
Yes.
Apparently, we have a latch to lock that door, which allows for the door to partially open. And I think if we're gonna be doing work there, we should try and get a new lock for that door, so
And maybe
it
plan
doesn't
down a
partially
little.
open, because
I've
I'm
always stood defensively when using that.
yeah, well, I tried opening it, and somebody was in there, and I just got a partial glimpse of them, and I'm sure they would have
Keep yanking.
would have appreciated if I didn't.
I'll have Ray look at it,
Okay, that's the small one,
to the left or to the right as you're going out.
as you're going out to the left.
Under the stairs.
Yeah.
Really? Lovely. All right, citizens' comments. Miss Katie?
I was wondering why we don't get in the report of finances for the town, the revolving funds report. We have one for the police and one for the rec. And that's not there.
In the town report?
In the budget that we see town meeting, there's nothing there.
The detail. And I did have sheets available for the budget committee upon request, and they never requested the information, so I didn't distribute them during the budget process. But
Will it be in the town report?
It would be, yeah.
I believe it is.
we don't put the exact detail, but we usually put the
The
start and
amount.
ending
Yes.
balance.
Well, it was some point that they said there was like $24,000 in the Parks and Recreation. But there's no detail, and you never see it in your manifest, what they've spent. And I
Should be in the minute.
I thought that whenever revolving funds were spent, the selectmen oversaw that expenditure. And yet, when I look through the manifest, I never see anything that shows you have looked at it and approved it.
We're not in control of the Parks and Rec.
The items that Parks and
Items
Rec
come through.
spends do come through in the manifest. We sign
Yes.
off on them.
They're in there.
I didn't hear you, Andy.
I'm sorry, the items that Parks and Rec expends money on, whether it's
Yes.
out of the revolving fund or not,
Or
which
the-
almost all of it is in the manifest.
You'll see it where it says coaches and refs.
Coaches, refs, T-shirts, whatever else, tickets.
Any money they spend.
It's just-
Okay, so that's when they pay their employees, I see those names and so forth.
Right.
Is that same true with the police?
I'm not
I
sure.
haven't looked at the detail on the police.
The revolving fund is for detail work, so it would show up as detail work, so it would come out of that fund, I believe.
In the manifest.
And that brings to mind, I don't know if the New Hampshire Municipal has talked with you about the fact that there's a bill in the legislature. They're trying to get the town's 15% paid by the state of the retirement. I haven't heard any position taken by our town. It'll be voted Wednesday.
Motion to adjourn,
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
6:35.
So, Fran, funny story about that bathroom.
It's all. Did it stay on?
Candidates